All right, yes, we have tons of new fragrances launching today. I've got a lot of fragrances to talk to you about today. And after the outro, I am talking about 12 different fragrances being dropped by one house. Find out about all of these brand spanking new fragrances coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about new fragrance releases. Which ones are you most excited about? This is going to be a longer video because I've got fragrances in this first part of the video from brands that are dropping like 3 at a time. I think we have 2 different ones. Maybe one also has 2 different fragrances. So brands keep dropping a ton of fragrances at once, and I really cannot keep up. But I'm trying to get back on track with what's coming so I can actually mentally make a note so I can get my nose on some of them, because things are launching so fast. I keep, forgetting about them or not even, hearing about them, and then later I discover them somewhere. But if there's a fragrance that's launching that you are most excited about, let me know what it is. Put a comment down below, and let's get started with the list. First of which is from the house of ELECTIMUSS London. We've got Caspian Cherry, a fragrance created by Kevin Mathys. So it looks like ELECTIMUSS did Spice d'Arno, a really delicious gourmand fragrance last, and now we've got a cherry-focused fragrance. This one featuring notes of black cherry, white chocolate, so it could be creamy, coffee, amaretto, dark chocolate, cinnamon, sandalwood, tonka beans, patchouli, honey, and vetiver. So Kevin Mathys, I believe, is with CPL Aromas, where Julian Rascanet works. And I think Kevin Mathys has already done several fragrances for ELECTIMUSS London. And I like the idea of white chocolate for its creaminess. Think of Coromandel with the benzoin in there that creates that kind of white chocolate creamy effect. So in black cherry, it sounds really super delicious. Although I am tired of cherry-focused fragrances, and let's see what ELECTIMUSS London will do with their cherry fragrance. But moving on to the house of MANCERA, we've got Fig Me Up. I think this is their second fig fragrance. They could have more, but within the last 2, 3, 4 years. So this is a Pierre Montale creation. Obviously, he does all the fragrances for Montale and MANCERA. This fragrance features notes of rhubarb, geranium, oud, sandalwood, plums, tobacco, fig nectar, and fig leaves, along with violets, white musk, toffee, and tonka. So it seems like it's fruity, oudy, gourmand, musky, and of course tobacco as well. There's a lot of things going on in this one, so let's hopefully it actually smells great. But I have been surprised at how great some of their latter fragrances are, so I'm really looking forward to this one. And let's see how prominent the fig fruit and the fig they said nectar, but how prominent the fig fruit and the fig leaves are. So LABO is launching another city exclusive for the city of Kyoto. Actually, I was in Kyoto late last year, early this year, and I got to go to the LABO boutique there. It was a small store, very small, in this really unique kind of a little shopping area in Kyoto. So now they're launching a fragrance focused on Osmanthus, and this is Osmanthus, resinous notes, woods, lavender, and frankincense. I've been underwhelmed with LABO fragrances as of late. We'll see how this one is. The last great one that I bought from them was the Shanghai city exclusive. I think it was the Myrrh. But this next fragrance is really exciting to me. I don't know about the brand very much. It's SNIF, S-N-I-F, Soda Snob. I like the idea of this one. And I love fizzy Coca-Cola style fragrances. And this features Coca-Cola, caramel, lime, cinnamon, vanilla, and jasmine for notes. But are they allowed to use Coca-Cola as a ingredient in a fragrance? Should it be cola? I mean, there's trademarks and things like that. So, but either way, beyond that, I'm still very excited about this one. I like the idea of a fizzy cola fragrance, and I'd love to get my nose on this and discover this brand because I don't know anything about this brand. So, Perry Ellis has a new fragrance for men called Night Sky. Is this a brand that I should just completely forget about? Do you guys enjoy some of the fragrances from this house? Let me know. Put a comment down below. I haven't really bought a new Perry Ellis fragrance. I bought some classics because I enjoyed them in the decades ago. But this one sounds interesting to me. It's lavender, vanilla, star anise, cardamom, patchouli, geranium, pear, vetiver, moss, fig leaves, bergamot, and salt. There's all kinds of strange things happening that are thrown in here. Aromatics with vanilla, but also star anise. and then the fig leaves and the salt. So something very unique. I just hope it doesn't smell like every other men's designer fragrance, and that there is something unique about this that we can, speak about. But this next one's quite exciting. So Swiss Arabian keeps cranking out the SHAGHAF series of fragrances. They have a new one called Vanilla Toffee. This one seems like it's the most gourmand, and I hope it smells great. I really like the honey one that they did. It kind of reminds me of Honey Oud by Montale, but a little different. This has notes of coffee, dates, brown sugar, walnuts, toffee, vanilla, cookie dough, tonka, benzoin, caviar, what the heck? Musk, woods, milk, cardamom. This sounds really, really super amazing. I can't wait to get my nose on this one, but I'm kind of like caught off guard with the saltiness of the salt and caviar fishiness in there. So anyway, I don't know. We'll see how it is. But I'm quite intrigued with this one. Can't get my can't wait to get my nose on it. But the next fragrance I'm talking about is from the house of LOEWE. It's a fragrance called PRADO. This is created by Núria Cruelles Borul. I think this is the in-house perfumer over at LOEWE. And this features notes of lychee fruit, blackcurrant, chamomile, clary sage. Let me know if you're a fan of LOEWE's fragrances. This is a Spanish designer house that I really enjoy, and they have some unusual kind of fragrances, not like very mass market, but really fits the aesthetic of the whole designer brand. It's a brand under LVMH, along with like brands like Dior and Givenchy and so on. Let me know if you're familiar with LOEWE. Let me know if you have a favorite fragrance from LOEWE, and what do you think about Prado and the way it sounds. So it seems like Bentley is launching a brand new series of fragrances. It's Bentley Become, created by Aliénor Massenet from Simrise. She used to do a lot of the Memo Paris fragrances. So this Become fragrance has a note breakdown of oranges, juniper berries, sandalwood, myrrh, vetiver, bergamot, black pepper, cedar, patchouli. Nothing has been as good as Bentley for Men Intense, but they do have some great offerings, and hopefully this one will be great. Although from the notes breakdown, it seems like it's going to be fairly mass and not extremely exciting, but perfumers can do some magic with some not so exciting notes, if that makes sense. So we shall see how Become is. But moving on to the house of Jean-Paul Gaultier, they launched this fragrance recently, 2 years ago, Gaultier Squared or Gaultier 2. Now they're bringing back another fragrance. It seems like two fragrances originally created by Francis Kurkdjian for Jean-Paul Gaultier, and like also MFK, Francis Kurkdjian fragrances are also getting the relaunch. So here we have Madame, which is a feminine targeted fragrance originally created by Francis Kurkdjian, getting a relaunch at JPG or Jean-Paul Gaultier again. This features notes of musk, rose, cedarwood, and orange. So it seems like a musky rose fragrance with some woods and citruses thrown in. I'd like to get my nose on it. I don't remember the original. I did remember Gaultier Squared. I used to wear it. It was great, but obviously I never wore Madame, but would love to get my nose on it. I wonder who's redoing these fragrances that were originally done by Francis Kurkdjian for Jean-Paul Gaultier. But moving on to the next fragrance, Gallivant has a new fragrance, this time inspired by Buenos Aires, created by Corinne Chevalier. I feel like Corinne Chevalier and Gallivant have a pretty good working relationship. I think she's done several fragrances for him. For the brand, it's leather, grapes, dulce de leche, flowers, tonka beans, petitgrain, citruses, and mate. So I feel like it's a appropriate style, leather industry, the beef and all that comes from Argentina, grapes for the wine industry, and of course dulce de leche is a very popular delicacy there. So I like the inspiration, and of course mate as well. So we shall see how this smells, but I'm really liking the way it sounds, and hopefully they've created something really great. But moving on to the house of Jeroboam, it's Your Oudness for Harrods. It's a Harrods exclusive. I'm not sure if it's a permanent exclusive or if it's going to get a mass release after the exclusivity runs out. But this has notes of oud, patchouli, saffron, vanilla, styrax, elemi, leather, white musk, sandalwood, cedar, oak moss, woods, and bergamot. For some strange reason, I'm really excited about this one. I like the idea of oud and patchouli together. No rose in this one, which is great because it's kind of, I love rose, but rose oud combo is, there's way too many out there, and it's just starting to become very similar from one to the other. I like the idea of this one because of the patchouli. So we shall see how it is. I like Jeroboam fragrances, and I like the perfumer Vanina Muracciole, I think, or Muracciole, who's behind the fragrances of Jeroboam, and I like her style to see what she's done here. So looking forward to this one. So we've got another feminine targeted release. This one from the house of ELLIS. This is Elixir Love. This is a fragrance created by Orly Guichard along with Leonardo Lucchese. So I really like the look of the bottle. For some strange reason, it reminds me of the early 90s. I don't know why that is, but that bottle kind of is visually striking and beautiful, the red and the gold. So this one has notes of cherry. Obviously, it fits the color of the cherry fruit with ambroxan, damask rose, oak moss, patchouli, jasmine, and neroli. Anybody a fan of this house and their fragrances? Let me know, put a comment down below. But moving on to the house of Estee Lauder in their private collection fragrances. This is the first one for a long time. I think since they dropped the initial drop, they haven't had a fragrance in this collection. This is Serene Sierra, Honey, Mimosa, and Pistachio. Sounds like it's going to be a powdery, nutty, sweet gourmand. It could end up being extremely sweet. Also, I don't know who the perfumer is. They haven't disclosed it. At least I haven't seen it. But when they dropped the initial collection, they had publicized the perfumers. And I think most of them were from IFF, if I'm not mistaken. No, I don't think all of them were. There were a lot, though. But we shall see how it is. If anybody's gotten their nose on Serene Sierra, let me know. Put a comment down below. So the next three fragrances are from one house called Arquiste. Are you a fan of this house? Their fragrances are not distributed widely, but there is a store in the city that sells the brand. Arquiste is sold at Ministry of Scent here in San Francisco. So the first fragrance is Almond Suede. This is the one that sounds the most exciting to me. But the other two don't sound exciting, but when you read the notes, they are very exciting, if that makes sense. This is created by Khalees Becker. I think this is the second fragrance for her. But all three of the fragrances are created by Givaudan perfumers because they all work at Givaudan. This features notes of vanilla, bitter almonds, honeycomb, neroli, orange blossom, saffron, cistus absolute, rock sugar, suede, birch tar, pink pepper, bergamot. Are you guys fans of Khalees Becker's creations? She's done a lot for Kilian fragrances. Of course, Love Don't Be Shy, which is reformulated to death. So I'm looking forward to this one. I like the idea of a almondy suede leather fragrance. It sounds really, really nice. And the fact that it has rock sugar in it and the honeycomb. I'm all over this fragrance. Hopefully it smells great. So this next one, it doesn't sound great from the name, but when I looked up the notes, I was like, this sounds so good. This sounds really, really great. Created by Rodrigo Flores Rue, fig leaves, black olive. I'm all over anything that has olive as a note. Fleur de sel, rosemary, cypress, fir balsam, red clay, stone pine needle, thyme, olive oil, figs, and clementine. It's almost like the Mediterranean come to life, right? Anything with olive as a note, the fruit itself, or the oil, I'm all over it. So this one sounds great. I can't wait to get my nose on it. And then finally, the third fragrance is Venice Rococo, once again with Rodrigo Flores Rue. So it's two fragrances with Rodrigo Flores Rue and the one by Khalees Becker, and they both work at Givaudan. This is amber, civet, iris, jasmine, black violet, cumin, orange blossom, powder notes, rose water, aldehydes, chamomile, and hawthorn. This one, I don't know how it is. It might smell great. It doesn't sound great from the notes or the name, so we shall see how it is. But if you're a fan of the brand, let me know. Put a comment down below. And then this next one, even though I'm bored of oud, this Caron oud fragrance, Oud Excelsa, sounds really fantastic. Created by the in-house perfumer Jean-Jacques. This has Colombian coffee, Ethiopian coffee, cardamom, oud, cedar, rose, cistus, birchwood, papyrus, and two unknown notes, natrotar and robustone. We'll have to find those at a later time and let you know what they are. But I like the idea of coffee and oud together. You know, adding a bit of gourmand touch to the whole oud thing. What do you guys think? Let me know. If you're a fan, recently I did a comparison video of two tobacco fragrances from Caron. Please go catch that video, and hopefully I can report to you guys on Oud Excelsa because I do like the way it sounds. So Jovan is a word that I'm saying. Jovan Musk layering fragrances. They're launching 3 fragrances that you can buy to layer things with. So basically they're kind of like primers, boosters, intensifiers, or whatever you want to, you know, enhancers and things like that that you can use these with. So the first one is called Skin I'm In. This is a Jovan fragrance, so it's not going to be very expensive. It's blackcurrant, jasmine, and musk. They're known for the musk, obviously. Then we have Make Them Talk. Musk, lemon peel, woodsy notes, osmanthus, and patchouli. Finally, I Want You to Want Me, rose, pink pepper, cashmeran, and musk. I really like the sound of these. I'm just gonna go order these. I think they're around $20 each. I really love layering. I used to hate layering, by the way, because when I was in the early 2000s, when I started digging into Joe Malone, I think all of their associates were trying to have me buy a lot of fragrances. You can layer this one and this one. They wanted me to do layering. I didn't like the idea up until like about 5 years ago when I started doing layering, and I start really enjoying. So really like the idea of these. If anybody's gotten their nose on them, please let us know. Put a comment down below. Finally, we've got 2 more fragrances by Miller Harris. First of which is Staccato, and I've got my nose on this, and it's super fantastic. This is created by Karim Binchon Spenner, featuring notes of tobacco, ginger, cinnamon, cedar, leather, benzoin, cade, ambergris, saffron, cardamom, honey, rose, jasmine. Really great. This tobacco does have a lot of smoke, but it's also really substantial. If you like the idea of smoke by acro, but you want a lot more robustness, a lot more intensity, a lot more depth, this smells great. Really great. You'll be hearing about this. I'm going to talk about it, but Miller Harris's Staccato, I'm quite impressed with, and I really enjoy Karim Binchon Spenner's fragrances, so you'll be hearing a lot more about it. And last but not least, another Miller Harris fragrance. It's Minier, I think that's how you say it. It's created by Emily Bouge. This one wasn't as exciting to me. I'd like to circle back to it and see a little bit more about it. It's mint, mountain air, myrrh, eucalyptus, green grass, patchouli, cashmere wood, sage, sea salt, white flowers, cardamom, papyrus, oak moss, and cedar. Now, who's a fan of Miller Harris? I think their fragrances have become really great. There was another fragrance that came out before these two, although 2 fragrances came out before this, a tomato leaf one and a boozy one, I believe. A boozy one from Matthew Nardone. I'm having a brain fart right now. Both of those were really, really great. So I'm quite impressed with the quality of the fragrances of Miller Harris lately. And so, yeah, you'll be hearing more about them. And that's basically it in this main video. 22 new fragrances launching soon. Let me know your thoughts on these. Which one sounds the best to you? And put a comment down below. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. And guys, I want to let you know, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 300,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And then I'm going to have a big surprise. So if I don't get to 300,000 by the end of the year, I'm unfortunately not going to do the surprise. So please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please help me by getting to 300,000 subscribers by subscribing to the channel. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, and then I mentioned that there were 12 fragrances being launched by one brand, one house, and that house is Lush. Are you a fan of Lush? So back in 2017, I was invited to an event by Lush, and at that time, their fragrances were called Guerrilla Perfume. So they were doing a tour across the country, and I believe here in the I think it was just one, I think it was across the globe, and then they came to the USA, and it was in Dallas. So I flew there, and they had launched several fragrances, and they basically set up these settings for each of the fragrance, and you go into these little areas of this big warehouse, and you experience the fragrances there, as in like the fragrances come to life. There's a whole video about that on the channel. Search for Lush Guerrilla Perfume, and you can see that video. It's quite interesting. But I don't know, there's been some changes with the house, and so I've kind of like stopped talking about the brand, even though I still mention a few fragrances here and there, because they were discontinuing and stuff. So now Lush is launching 12 new fragrances at once. So there are some in here that are really interesting sounding, and so I'd like to get my nose on them. And if you've gotten your nose on these fragrances, of course, please do let us know. Put a comment down below. So the perfumers are lesser known perfumers, and I'm familiar with them, but I'll list the names down in the info box for you guys to find out. But the first fragrance is Betel, B-E-T-E-L, and it's featuring notes of mango tree, coriander, anise, jasmine, and davana. So very interesting sounding. I like the idea of anise and fragrances. And of course, there's Davana here. And what's mango tree versus the mango fruit? How does that smell? So this one actually sounds like it would be something I'd love to get my nose on. In fact, the whole entire lot I'd get my nose on. Sometimes some fragrances sound really great, but when you smell it, I'm like, that smells so boring. What were they thinking? Kind of a thing. So I'm sure it's going to happen like that here as well. But sometimes fragrances that don't sound great actually smell really great. So there's that scenario as well. So the next fragrance is Abiba, A-B-I-B-A, featuring notes of carrot seeds, bay leaves, vetiver, frangipani, ylang ylang. Does this one sound great to you guys? Are you a fan of Lush's Gorilla? Well, it's no longer called Gorilla Perfume, but are you a fan of Lush fragrances? Let me know if you have a favorite. Put a comment down below. One of their more popular ones is Cardamom Coffee. And if you search for that video, I'll have it linked here as well. But if you search for that Lush Gorilla Perfume video, the Cardamom Coffee is featured in that video. So they had a whole scene set up. And it's one of my favorite fragrances from the house, along with the Rentless. I think that's what it was called. It's been so long that I've spoken about Lush, so I've forgotten. But Rentless is more like a patchouli focused fragrance. That should be in that video as well. But moving on to the next fragrance, it's Hungarian Fronds, F-R-O-N-D-S. This one featuring notes of chamomile, oregano, and fennel. So sounds like an aromatic and mineral, floral, herbal kind of a thing. I don't know what to think about this one. It doesn't sound exciting right off the bat, but who knows? Fennel can come off a bit licorice-like, and I like licorice anise in fragrances, so we shall see how this one is. But I like the names of these fragrances. What do you guys think? The next fragrance, the fourth fragrance, is The Dew on Their Hems. This one is cucumber, petrichor, dewdrops, cedar needles, fir resin, cedarwood, sweet nose. This one sounds strange. Cucumber with petrichor? Are you guys fans of petrichor? And then combining it with sweet notes? What kind of sweet notes are these? So this one warrants getting my nose on. It just sounds weird and very unique to combine these kind of notes. Cucumber provides an ozonic touch. Petrichor could be a bit like rain and earth and soil mixed in together. So this one sounds very interesting. The Dew on Their Hems. The next one, Bond Street 1972, Green Accord, Galbanum, and Incense. So it sounds like a very smoky green, bitter resin kind of a thing here. Always love Galbanum in fragrances, love green fragrances. So this one definitely something I want to get my nose on. The next one is Time of the Season, Patchouli, Orange Blossom, Grapefruit, Neroli. I love patchouli, you guys know this, and this one's combined with citruses. So not only Orange Blossom, but also Neroli, and that kind of bitter zing and spice of the grapefruit in here mixed with patchouli. Patchouli, always a great note, but for me, grapefruit is always mixed with like vetiver, because vetiver has a bit of grapefruity saltiness, and grapefruit has a little bit of that too. But I haven't seen it much with patchouli, and I'm quite curious to see what they've done with this. Even though with the grapefruit in Tigar, Bulgari's Tigar, I do get a bit of a patchouli edge in that fragrance. I don't think they're fully featuring, patchouli in that one. And I love that one. So we shall see how Time of the Season is. The next fragrance is called Sweet Pea, P-E-A. It's ylang ylang, sweet pea, freesia, jasmine, rose, rosemary, sage, and mint. Very floral, very yellow floral, and also very aromatic and herbal. Sounds like an interesting combination. We shall see lots of different flowers. Not only we've got ylang ylang, the sweet pea, the freesia, jasmine, and rose together. It's a floral bomb, but it's kind of balanced out with the rosemary, sage, and mint. The rosemary is a tricky note in fragrances. It could come off a bit medicinal, so a little goes a long way for me with rosemary. And hopefully they have it nicely balanced. Same thing with mint too, but mint, for me, it's much better if it's fresh rather than toothpastey, because I can't stand that stuff. I like toothpaste, but don't like it in fragrances. The next fragrance, the eighth fragrance, it's Vegan Leather Jacket. Love the name of this one. This is cloves, vetiver, tobacco, and tonka beans. Cloves are an interesting note. They're not very trendy. They're a bit old school. They come off a bit like carnation. So Is this more like a holiday fragrance? Is it kind of something maybe perhaps like tobacco vanille? Because it's got tobacco, it's got tonka, it's got cloves, so it's spicy. This one sounds great, but where does the name Vegan Leather Jacket come from? Is it like a vegan leather accord that they've created with the notes? That sounds really fun. For me, I like the name, I like the idea, and the notes sound great too. And cloves, I love cloves. Drinking clove tea, love it. So we shall see how Vegan Leather Jacket is. And what do you guys think of the names of these fragrances? This next one, the 9th fragrance, is No Way to Say Goodbye. All right, it's blackcurrant, benzoin, lytsea cubeba, and rose. Always enjoy benzoin in fragrances, so we know this is going to be ambery and also fruity and floral. We shall see how it is. Sounds interesting, not as exciting as the last one, but definitely something I'd like to get my nose on. Then the following, the 10th fragrance, is Chelsea Morning. It's toffee, lemons, vanilla, tonka beans, fenugreek, and myrtle. I like the idea of this one. Fenugreek is rare, not a note that most people talk about. So it's a herb, I'd like a spice herb. So I'd like to definitely get my nose on this one. And I always enjoy myrtle in fragrances. Really love that smell, so we shall see. And this next one really sounds wonderful, and I like the name, the Bee's Knees. Hay, smoke, earthy notes, immortelle, leather, honey, tobacco, orange blossom, osmanthus, neroli. This one sounds like it's a honey tobacco focused fragrance. And of course, the Bee's Knees, it's a great name. This one, I think, got my name all over it. So I'd like to find out, because it's also got hay and smoke, so giving you a smoky touch, earthy touch as well, and then of course a little bit of animalic something thrown in with the hay there. So this one, I'm all over it. We shall see. If you've gotten your nose on any of these, do let us know. Put a comment down below. And the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about that's launching, it's a re-release. It's called Fresh As, A-S. So it's Siberian pine, pine needles, benzoin, marigold, and orris. I never got my nose on this one. We shall see, but I'm curious to get my nose on these. Now, I have a lot of older and discontinued Lush fragrances. I wonder if you guys want a video done on discontinued fragrances. There were some great ones in the mix, and I personally have not kept up with Lush. I wish we had a store here. We don't. And so I think there were some regulations that came up in California, and I think they can't sell the fragrances here or something. I don't know what the technicalities are, and the type of fragrances that they were creating, they weren't allowed to sell, so they might have to reformulate fragrances and things like that. But if you're interested in hearing more about Lush fragrances, let me know. And if you have a Lush near you, let me know that as well. And what are your favorite Lush fragrances? Anyway, that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Otherwise, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.